Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Paulina Leiser. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, our guest today is Jeff Crouere. He's a radio host, TV host, an author, and he's also a Trump delegate from Louisiana and a co-chair of the Louisiana Trump Campaign. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, before we start the interview, I just want to tell you that you're in our prayers, your state, your people. The images and the stories we hear from Louisiana, they're heartbreaking. So please know that here at theDove and in Oregon, you're in our thoughts and prayers.
We've had tragically 13 pass away and thousands have been displaced. They're still doing rescues right now. But the people of Louisiana are resilient. We're used to these sorts of natural disasters.
Having a little technical problem here. Hopefully it will get resolved in just a second. Today we're talking to Jeff Crouere. He's a TV and radio show host from Louisiana, and we're talking about the disaster that is happening there right now with all the flooding. Jeff, are you there with us?
Yes.
All right. So, like I said, prayers and thoughts with you, and hopefully this all will get passed very soon. Let's talk about Trump now. He made some changes to his campaign, and yesterday those were announced recently. As someone who is directly involved in the Trump campaign, you're the co-chair of your state Trump campaign. What do you think about all these changes at the top?
I like him. I know that he's brought on a respected pollster, someone who I think has done a tremendous job for Ted Croures and many other clients. I think Kellyanne has certainly got years of experience. So I'm very excited about her position as campaign manager. And then bringing on sort of an outsider, Steve Bannon with Breitbart, who's done a great job growing that site. And I think he really is going to keep Mr. Trump focused on those anti-establishment themes, such as promoting nationalism and borders and making sure that this country is not going to be selling out our interests in these international trade deals. And really, the issues that set Donald Trump apart from your traditional Republican candidate. And so many of the establishment Republicans have been doing everything they can to hurt his campaign. They weren't happy when it was announced that Mr. Bannon has come on board with the Donald Trump campaign. But that's tough because I think it just reflects the type of candidate Donald Trump is. He's an outsider. He's an independent Republican. And I think this is just going to do nothing but help him.
When it comes to Mr. Trump's campaigning, what kind of changes can we expect under the new management?
I think we're going to see him focusing on those issues that we saw the other day. He gave a great speech right outside of Milwaukee the other day, right in the aftermath of the riots there, talking about how his policies can turn around what's going on in the inner city, talking about jobs, talking about crime. Law and order is, I think, a really big issue in this election. And I think he's going to point out that he's standing with the police. Hillary Clinton is standing with the criminals. And I think Americans are upset by what they're seeing in all these cities across the country. So I think that's going to be another component that he's going to be emphasizing, along with fighting terrorism, cutting taxes, promoting America first, securing our border. And I think those are all winning issues. I think on every one of those issues, the majority of Americans are standing with Donald Trump and not standing with Hillary Clinton in her position.
So the polls today, when you look at the polls, and there are different ones coming in, they seem to be looking more favorably for Donald Trump. Do you think that has to do with the speeches he gave, or is that the campaign changes? Why do you think the numbers are changing?
I think in a campaign like this, the number is going to be changing constantly. So the media is always focusing on every little change. But I think this is typical. We see ups and downs. I think the general trend is a positive one for him now. I'll admit he had a few tough weeks after the convention where his numbers went down a little. He was leading after the convention. Now I think the Real Clear Politics average has him down by 6, but a few days ago it was down by 8. And I saw a poll today showing him down by less than a point. So I think it's moving in his direction. And I think if he keeps focusing on these issues that he talked about the other day, I think he'll continue to see better and better poll results.
Um, you mentioned that his message is resonating with a lot of Americans. Yet there are some people who are undecided, who are not sold on the idea that Trump can be our next president. What can be done to make sure he wins? And like, what do you guys do in Louisiana? I know that your state voted Republican for the last primary, so you may not be as worried as Republicans in Oregon, because we've been voting Democratic for the last 20 plus, almost 30 years. Oh, actually more. What are you doing in Louisiana, and what can the country do to increase those numbers further of people who not just like his message, but actually go and vote for him?
Well, you're right about Louisiana. We've been voting consistently Republican for years. Our polls show Trump ahead by about 17 points. So I think he's got Louisiana pretty much solidly in his corner. What we're doing is we're organizing people to go to Florida, because we see that as being our nearest sort of battleground state. So Florida is really the state that's getting a lot of our attention because it's close there, and that's a lot of electoral votes. And I think that's going to be one that he can win. So that's what we're trying to do, organize different campaign groups to go to Florida and try to help the Trump campaign there.
You're a TV host, you're a radio host. Obviously, you're in this media group of things. What's your take on Hillary's health and all the talks that is going on about Hillary's health? I'm going to switch gear here for a second.
You know, I think there's an issue there. I really do. I think we should all be asking for her medical records to be released. I wonder what really is going on. I don't know if you saw the comments of Dr. Drew Pinsky from CNN, but he's not a conservative commentator. He's someone on CNN, and he said that there are serious questions there about her health. And I've seen someone who seems unsteady. She seems to be constantly in need of long breaks. She doesn't campaign as often as Trump. She's taking lots of days off. She seems like she maybe has little mini seizures or something. I've seen different clips of her where it looks like there could be an issue. So I'd like to get a complete release of all those medical records so the American people know for sure that the person running for president has the health to be able to handle a very stressful job. We know Donald Trump can do it. He's out there constantly campaigning. He seems to be the model of health for someone who's 70 years old. He certainly doesn't act like a 70-year-old.
Well, it just seems like so many people, not that I don't want to see the records, it seems like it's not going to make a difference. The Hillary camp, and I've said it before, she can kill a cat on live TV and they'll still vote for her because there's just some, I don't know what it is. I mean, have you put your finger on that? Do you know why people are so attached to her candidacy?
I think she's someone who should be in prison. I mean, I think she's someone who is personally a criminal. I think she should have been indicted. I think she should have been prosecuted for a lot of different things, from the emails, the classified information, to the foundation and the Clinton cash and the Benghazi mishandling. I mean, there's just so much. But a lot of the hardcore liberals just will not think about anybody else but Hillary. They're committed to that ideology. And I guess my point to them is look around at our country, at all the inner cities where that liberal ideology has been in play for decades, and look at the disasters that we have. That's what happens with liberal ideology for generation after generation. It's despair, it's blight, it's poverty. And that's why I think Trump's call the other day for African Americans to look at maybe his campaign as an alternative was so important, because I think that's what we need to do. We need to ask every voter for their support, whether you're in the inner city, whether you're in the rural areas. And I think that's the kind of campaign message that can win.
All right. Well, in the few minutes we have left, let's talk about your book, America's Last Chance. What is America's Last Chance? Are you talking about Trump? Okay, we have another technical problem, but based on what the technical problems we encountered before, here he is.
It really is it's our last chance. I mean, this is it. This election is so important. We've got so much at stake: the economy, our borders, the fight against radical Islam. We've got this Obamacare that we've got to get rid of. And if we have 8 more years going down the road that we've been going down with Barack Obama, where we have 95 million people out of the workforce, we've got 50 million in poverty, we've got the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, I think our country is headed for a disaster like what I see in Venezuela, which is a socialist nation on the brink of ruin. And I think we have to have this opportunity to turn around the country. If we don't this election, if more illegal immigration continues to come in here at a fast clip, I don't know if the Republicans will ever be able to win another national election, to be honest with you. This is a great opportunity to try to turn around our country, because if Hillary gets in there, more illegal immigration, more serious. And I don't.
Jeff, every vote counts, of course, right? I mean, there's so many people who don't even want to go vote. And like you said, this is a critical election, and we must vote, because when you don't, you pretty much pick the other side. What would be your message to someone who's not exactly for Hillary and not exactly for Trump, and so they decide not to vote at all? What can you tell to those people?
I think in this election, everybody needs to get out and participate. And I would say every conservative and Republican needs to get behind Donald Trump, because the stakes are so high. Even if you don't like some of the things he said or his style or his demeanor, all of that is really not that important when you consider the issues in the country. So the stakes are so high. I'm hoping that some of these never Trumpers and some of these establishment Republicans will come to their senses and get behind him in these final weeks of the campaign.
Well, that would be a miracle, but yeah, good thought there. Hey, Jeff, last question for you. If you could have the ear and the attention of Donald Trump right now, and you can just have, 5 minutes with the candidate, what would you tell him? What would be your advice for the next couple of months that he'll be campaigning, and how he can improve his chances?
That's a great question. I would tell him to stay focused on the issues, to keep sounding the messages that you did the other night in that speech that he gave right outside of Milwaukee. Those are winning issues. That was the best speech I think he's given. I would just say keep down that path. Forget about all these critics and these side issues, and really stay focused. And I think if he can do that, and we can get the election to be about the issues, he wins. I really do think the issues are on his side, and the American people are on his side. So if we can get away from personalities and distractions and stay focused, I think he can win this election and win going away. So that's what I would recommend to him.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. What's the website where people can get your book, America's Last Chance, and just other information?
Well, it's easy because it's just my name. It's just jeffcrouere.com, and I would love people to check it out, because I wrote it for this election, and I think this is the key time to get out there and learn about the stakes involved. And the book really gives an outline of what's happened to the country over the past 8 years and why we need to turn things around in this election. So it's jeffcrouere.com, and I'd love everybody to get a copy.
All right. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Paulina.
Well, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember that you can find all the Focus Today episodes on our YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/theDove TV. And this interview with Jeff, as well as all our other episodes, are there. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at thedove.us.